Hello, and welcome to this very special beach edition. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about implicit demands, so not like direct demands. So I suppose these would include the ordinary demands of everyday life, as the list of PDA symptoms suggests. So, when I say implicit demands, I'm talking about those moments when we're expected to behave a certain way, say at formal occasions, dinner do's, weddings, for example. There's a certain standard of behaviour that we're expected to adhere to. And I think the implicit demands in this sense would be, overlooked by neurotypical people. But for us, they're there, like intensely. So I think that's why sometimes we're more likely to misbehave in those kinds of situations. I was even at one of my friend's work do's recently. It was all kind of smart and tame and low-key. I ended up sucking helium out of the balloons. And I noticed how, as soon as I did it, it was contagious. The tables around me started to do it. So that's an example where I felt under pressure to behave in a certain way, to conduct myself in a certain way. The same could happen, say, upon first encounters, when meeting someone for the first time. Hello, how are you? What do you do for a living? Where do you go to school? Do you have kids? All of these generic, mundane questions. Talking about what they do. How do they function in the world? Rather than, who are you? What's your purpose? If you were a colour, what would you taste like? Stuff like that. See, I'm more inclined to ask questions like that. I'm more receptive to questions like that. As soon as there's this generic frequency, I'm on guard. I'm in defence. I feel like, I need to disrupt this. Because that's what we are innately. We're here to tear down the system. So any place where one is required to meet a standard can be quite difficult. Or maybe we're expected to eat a certain way. I happen to be a vegan. I know that's a loaded word. I don't really like any labels, to be honest. Even PDA sometimes, because like I say, they're only necessary within the parameters of society or the system. But society would label me as a vegan because I don't eat any animal products. And people say, oh, how do you deal with a diet so restrictive? How do you deal with the limits? And I say, I eat whatever I want. There's no limitations at all. I eat whatever I want. If I was forced to be a vegan at birth, then I would have more likely resisted. I would have more likely rejected the diet. But no, I found this diet. When you eat a diet based on unprocessed whole foods, your taste buds kind of adapt. They no longer receive a pummeling from the excitotoxins, sugars and spices and salts and whatever. So you kind of reset your taste buds. So it just turns out that a lot of things that I used to eat kind of disgust me now. I only want plant-based foods, so there's nothing restrictive about this whatsoever. I suppose a lot of people with PDA and other people find that when they're younger, they're incredibly fussy when it comes to eating. Eat your vegetables, eat this, eat that, don't eat this, don't eat that. Or maybe not. Maybe the food is just there, and it's like, oh, where did this come about? We're always questioning things like that. We're so curious. why do I need to eat this? Why don't I need to eat this? So probably in time, as they grow older, they'll gravitate towards, provided that they inform themselves and educate themselves, they'll gravitate towards whatever diet suits them best. Being expected to dress a certain way. It's not as common in America, but in England, in state schools, we're required to wear school uniforms. That can be difficult. That's a huge demand. It's just there. It's just prescriptive. There's no discussion. There's no consensus. It just is. That's the problem when there's no communication or no consensus. We can't help but feel we need to override and overthrow. And probably being expected to behave a certain way based on our gender. I can remember being on holiday once and someone just sat down on my sunbed that was by the communal swimming pool, and he just started talking to me about football, or soccer if you're American. Football for everyone else who pronounces things properly. No, I'm joking. So, yeah, I remember being like, why? Why do you just assume, because I'm male, that I'm going to be open to talking about this? You know, so leave it open. I suppose these implicit demands can be removed. Standing back is the first step, probably. And kind of letting go of the idea that things should be a certain way just because they always have been that way. No, things will work out. Whatever type of person you are, let that dictate what your life should be like. No one else. If you're a parent and you have a child who has PDA, they have this internal compass, they have this internal heightened intuition that will guide them through life. Trust in it. It's okay to trust. Just facilitate. And I think if you have an expectation of how you want them to be, maybe you're an avid football fan and you're a father, and you will naturally expect your son to be that way, or you hope your son will be that way. Maybe lose those expectations. Because we'll be able to feel you trying to nudge us down a certain road. Disassociate your needs from their needs. And also, just to wrap it up, you've probably heard me speak about being indirect when you need help in the past, indirectness. And there is a difference, there's a marked difference. So when I say indirectness, I'm talking about, say you need help with the dishes or with gardening. Just express how you need help rather than direct that need towards your child. Maybe it's more likely you're going to receive help if you just say, oh, wouldn't it be nice if I had help with the dishes? Wouldn't it be nice if, or not even that, just, oh, the weeds need trimming or something like that. So we don't feel that there's some kind of tug, some kind of force that's pulling us towards you. When I say implicit demands, I'm literally talking about how it exists intangibly in the air around us. I need to be a certain way. I need to conform. I need to be like this in this situation. That's what I'm talking about. Have a think about it. Try and be aware of any implicit demands that might be lingering.